Hey everyone, we are back for another week of exciting rehearsals. This week we are talking about our first time marching band experiences. We'll also find out what made Trish say,
I mean, that parade must rake in tons and tons of money, and to be giving it back now, that's pretty cool.
and why Johnny said,
pulling up and seeing all these other bands, getting to enjoy the coast, doing a parade that I'd never done before. I've only seen them on TV.
all this and more. So get out on the field and we'll see you back on the sidelines for this week's episode of On a Water Break.
8 off the mat and go.
Welcome to On a Water Break, the podcast where we talk everything marching arts.
Everyone, bring it in.
It's time for a water break.
Welcome to another episode of Season 2 of On a Water Break, the podcast where we talk about everything you and your friends are talking about at rehearsal on a water break. I'm Joey, and I am super excited to say that this is my first time hosting this evening. I'm gonna mess it all up. It's gonna be fine, and then I'll never do it again. So here we are. As marching band season wraps up, we're taking a break and talking about our own experiences, particularly our firsts. So, as we talked about last time, the differences across the nation of marching band, we also experience different types of competition, but we all choose to continue in the activity. So something had to bring us back, and maybe it was that first time of us experiencing marching band. This week we have a great group to talk about our first experience and other iconic firsts. But first, let's see who's all on the sidelines this week. Alicia, how's it going? It's the first time for you tonight too, yeah? Pulling double duty as a producer.
Absolutely, and I'm gonna mess something up, and it's gonna have to do with these sounds. I know it's coming. So,
as I'm just typing to you right now. You live for the applause.
Let's see.
The applause, girl. Give yourself some applause.
Let's see.
Yes.
Love it. Are you excited? Are you excited? Did you ever feel like you'd ever, more and more and more?
That's a lot of applause.
She lives for the applause.
I have to remember to cut the applause.
Applause. Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to be having my first time on with you as their first time producer. So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Austin.
Howdy.
How did that go?
It was good. Yeah, we had a good time. It was a lot. Like I'm sure I'm thinking about all the things that I did on, like, I think when we recorded a couple days ago, and I'm sure we're sharing a lot of the same feelings. I'm like, oh my god, I'm so nervous. I'm gonna mess something up in the script, and I don't need to get. And it was a lot, and I was like, you know what? It ended up being okay. I listened to the episode. I was like, you know what? I think I did a pretty good job. So once I finally got back and listened to it, I was like, oh, that wasn't so bad. I still hate hearing my voice. I don't think that will ever stop though.
Yeah, I always feel like, right now I feel like my voice is like in this middle, like maybe tenor situation, but then I hear myself talk and I go, oh, I'm an alto. I see what's going on. So I get it. Trish, how's it going?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Well, I said I wasn't going to talk about baseball, but this is gotcha news. So
hashtag eye roll.
I'm excited to be back on a podcast with you.
Are you? Are you really?
Trish, I'm glad you're here too, because I know you're an experienced producer. So definitely, yell at me or type in the chat if I need to throw a sound in.
You're doing great. All good. All good.
Emily, how's it going?
Hello. Good to be back on air again. I feel like that, when you fall asleep on the band bus and then you wake up and you're like, wait, what state are we in? Where is time? Why is time? That's how I feel right now. I was like, what is going on? Who are you people?
Well,
Emily, I heard a rumor that you were working on artwork for next season, correct?
Yeah. Jeremy reached out, was like, Emily. I'm like, what? Are you going to do stuff? It's like, yeah, I'll do my best. I'm the artist for a lot of your little cartoons. And no, I have not forgotten about I have not forgotten about the new hosts. Those are coming. You are being cartoonified. You are not escaping me.
BTW,
Make sure I look
BTW,
pretty.
I love mine. I do. I love it.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm always like,
No,
I
no,
hope
no.
they like it. And they're not like, what the f- is
No,
that?
no.
Well, real quick, I do need to say, Emily, as we talk about new artwork for season 3, as we're wrapping up season 2, we have 2 episodes left where we're going to do big recap episodes of all of season 2 with all of the main hosts. So make sure after this episode, you tune in the next couple of weeks for our last 2 episodes of season 2. And then we'll hit you with season 3 and Emily's brand new artwork.
Yes.
Oh boy, you hype it so up. You're hyping me up too much, y'all. Don't put
No.
this pressure on me.
You good.
You are worthy. You are worthy.
Thank you.
This is going to be weird for me tonight because not only is this my first time hosting, and like usually there's people on the other side of the screen, so I get to press mute and eat my snacks. But now I have somebody to my right, and I don't really know how to do that because she's going to talk right now, and this would be my time to snack. So this is going to be interesting for me. Sarah, how's it going?
I'm doing good. Yeah. A little nervous, I'm usually more of the behind the scenes kind of a person.
Behind the scenes, behind the shadows. Sarah's very much like an admin. Like, I'll set the table, I'll set the things, but don't ask me to say grace kind of person. So she's gonna be nervous. She's peak right now. We did a lot of makeup, but we're gonna work on it. Johnny, how's it going?
I'm alive. How are you?
I love that.
Nervous for sure. That's my go-to answer because I think people say okay and good or they're doing well all the time. And I think people don't expect to say I'm alive.
It's really interesting that you say that because that is like my stock answer. People go, "How's it going?" I go, "I'm breathing. I'm alive as far as we've got today." And they go, "Oh, is everything okay at home?" And I go, I haven't seen my home. I don't know what home is. I'm just existing right now. So that's really, really cool. In honor of first times, we have some first time guests here, Sara and Johnny. Johnny, do you want to start off with your 32 count life story? Do you know how this works? We're gonna give you 8 counts from the Met, and then you've got 32 counts to tell us everything from the day you were born to what you had for breakfast this morning. Are you ready?
I'll do my best.
All right, here we go. Alicia's going to click the right button. It's going to go beep, boop, beep, boop. We're going to point at you, and you're going to go. Here we go. Johnny's 32 count life story. 5, 6, ready?
So I live on the West Coast. I've done band since 2005. I marched Blue Devils for 4 years. I'm a flight attendant now, and I live in Nashville. I have 2 dogs, and I want to dance again. I want to get back into doing this, so I'm excited to hear everybody's first and see what I could take away.
Awesome! Woo!
Oh, I should do applause here.
Yeah, I'll hit the applause. I'll be your applause. That's really, really exciting. What years did you march Blue Devils?
2010 to 2013.
Oh my gosh!
From mirrors to poles and everything in between.
The Constant Racing Absurdity was such a good show. Oh my goodness.
So good.
I love that. What you in the color guard? Did you spin? Did you dance? Did you play a horn? Did you
move we all did. We were all part of the prop crew. I did color guard when I was in Blue Devils, but it was different from marching band. So I played clarinet and percussion my freshman through junior year and then continued that in concert season. And then my senior year, I decided to pick up and try color guard because I've tried everything else.
He's multidisciplined. I love that. That's really cool.
That's Jack of all trades, master of all of them, apparently.
I wouldn't get crazy, but color guard I'm pretty confident in.
Pretty good. World champion. No big deal.
Yeah.
Multiple time world champion. Sara, I know you're nervous. Are you ready?
Yeah.
32 counts. If you mess this up, I don't know how you're getting home. Are you ready?
Recovery's on the sheet.
Recovery is on the sheet.
It is.
32 counts and you're off.
All right. Well, my name is My name is Sarah. I am originally from Kansas. I did 3 years of high school guard and then did 6 years of independent in the A and the world stuff. I did 2 years at the Colts. And now I live in North Carolina with this guy. We've been together for 10 years, and I'm a puzzle connoisseur, jigsaw puzzles, and then I have a 4-year-old charcoal boxer pit bull dog. Yep.
Woo, charcoal! We love charcoal.
Woo.
We almost brought charcoal on the podcast today because this hotel is pet friendly, and then it didn't work out.
No.
What years did you? It's not like she's dead. She's not dead. Let me be clear.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Put her in a kennel. It's fine. What years did you march Colts?
14 and 15.
I knew that. It was for the podcast.
Yeah.
Good years. Good years. I like that 14. Was it the 14 was Dark Side of the Rainbow, right?
It was with the scarecrow.
That was a good show.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was a good show. I like that one a lot. That was probably my favorite show.
That was fun. Fun times.
Yeah. All of that's very exciting. We are going to dive into all things marching band. But first, it's the episode of first. Let's get into something to get everybody all warmed up. And it's the news. Beautiful. These sounds also, I do want to say, I continue to say that they're made custom for the podcast. I think they're so dope. The first news story that I'd like to cover today is that the marching artists for the 2024 PASIC convention were announced. Those are happening this week, November 13th through the 16th, and it includes RCC and Scott Johnson. So if you're going to be in the Indianapolis area for Grand Nats and you haven't signed up for PASIC yet, you can register at the door. Go watch some of these clinics and check it out. Getting to hear from Scott Johnson is, when are you going to get another chance to sit in the room with him? So that's pretty cool. Austin, do you got a news story for us?
I do. It involves the New York City Marathon. There's a high school outside, or in Brooklyn, I should say, not outside of New York. They're in New York. Brooklyn Bishop Loughlin Memorial High School plays they traditionally go out. They've been doing it for more than 40 years. They go out on the course of the marathon and they play the Rocky theme song for 3 hours. Good for them. Honestly, more power to them.
That is so cool.
That deserves applause.
I know. If it gives the runners like a boost,
That's so cool.
It's pretty cool. And it's just a bunch of high school kids, and they just go out there and they play the Rocky theme song. They've been doing it for a long time. It's around mile 8. And one of the kids was like, when the music hits, we're playing music nonstop for hours until we really can't do it anymore. And you know what? I'm like, yeah, that's valid. It's pretty cool. So, more power to those kids. And it's kind of a unique experience that not a lot of other high schools really get to do. So I think it's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
I don't run.
No.
But I would imagine that if I did, that would inspire me to push through.
Right?
I was going to say, I don't know how long a marathon is, but I was like, I can do this marathon if they're going to play Rocky for me. But then you said mile 8, and I was like, there's more after 8?
Joey, I got bad news for you.
It wasn't
That's only about a third
Yeah.
of the way through the marathon.
No.
They're 26.2 miles. So for those,
Be me.
I'm
for our
100
runner
pounds
friends,
heavier. I'm 100 pounds heavier than I was when I was marching. Ain't no way. I'm running for all that. That's crazy. We're moving. We're gonna move on. That made me upset. Trish, what you got?
Okay, I have actually a really cool story of the Pasadena Tournament of Roses announced November 8th. Its first ever band grant recipients awarding $27,600 to help high school musicians participate in the Rose Bowl parade. The grant will support equipment, preparation, and travel expenses for 5 marching bands and 3 individual student musicians, addressing costs that can reach $5,000 per participant. Among the recipients is the 605 All-Star Band, which is, so cool.
Yeah.
Combining 8 high school bands representing 7 Southern California cities. I just visited, by side note, I just visited Southern California this past summer. I'm in love, ready to pack it all up and go. We're not going to, but I could very easily. But that's where the Dodgers are from, so never mind. The United States.
I was about to.
The others include Artesia, Bellflower, Cerritos, Hawaiian Gardens, La Mirada, Lakewood, and Norwalk. The Los Angeles Unified School District, All District High School Arna Band, representing 52 schools with 365 musicians. They also received funding. So, I mean, it just really makes sense. So you think it kind of is like a, what are we doing? Like, what took you so long? I mean, that parade must rake in tons and tons of money, and to be giving it back now, that's pretty cool.
I think so as well. I mean, like, I've not had a group do the Tournament of Roses, but I've had groups go do the Thanksgiving parade there in New York, and just how much it costs, the hotels and the time and the amount of volunteers that are around that. Like, there's got to be some way to make it affordable for the regular marching band to go. So that's pretty exciting. Good on them. Good job.
Yeah,
good job, Tournament of Roses.
Yeah.
Not sponsored by them, but soon to be. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. This is probably we're gonna get this is all gonna get thrown away. Since this episode is all about firsts, this is the first one we get canceled. We thought we would throw out a few firsts of the marching band world, and I'm gonna start with the first recorded marching band ever. The first known marching band dates back to the 1830s. I'll talk about that here in a second. In the United States, often associated with military units. People, my kids are like, oh, when were you born? And I go, oh, I was born in 1993. And they go, oh, you were born in the 1900s. That's cool. And so seeing 1800 was really tough for me to read because it's so close to 19. Anyway, Alicia, do you have another first?
Yeah, the first college marching band, University of Michigan is actually credited with having the first college marching band, which we're back to the 1800s. That started in 1896.
I
don't like those numbers. Trish, you got something?
Yes, the first high school marching band was mine. No, just kidding. The first high school marching band is often attributed to the 1907 formation of the band at New Orleans John McDonough High School. Who knew?
I'm really excited that we're in the 1900s now. I was born in this.
Right.
We're going to talk about first here in a bit. I'm going to ask you where you went to high school and what that marching band looked like later, Trish. Sarah, are you ready for your first?
I am. The first Tournament of Roses parade. The first Rose Parade took place in 1890, featuring several marching bands and showcasing the role of bands in parades.
That's exciting. We're back to the 1800s. I'm not liking this. Emily, can you bring us back to...
I'm so sorry, Emily, but it took us 130 years to start throwing some money at these groups to get them to the Rose Parade.
What are we doing?
So.
Yes. Right. That part.
Yep. At the Rose Parade. Here we go. Emily, bring us back to the 1900s.
Yes. The first indoor marching band competition, known as Winter Guard, was held in the 1970s, allowing bands to showcase their skills in a controlled environment. Wait, who was born in the last century? Are we all born in the last century here?
Yes, I think.
Did I mess this up? Nope. Austin, you got one?
Yes, I do. The first Drum Corps International Championship took place in 1972. Marking a significant moment for competitive marching bands. It was not the first time Drum Corps had a championship. It was the first time DCI had a championship.
Yeah, we had the VFW and the American Legion quite some time there. Absolutely.
50s, 60s, and then they were like, no, and we can accredit a lot. Like, there's how many Drum Corps were in the founding? Like 12 or something?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was
something
like 12,
like that.
Yeah.
I have a joke, but I'm going to keep it for later. Johnny, you got one?
I do. I'm actually really excited about this one. So the first all-female marching band we're going a little bit back in the 1900s. It's 1938 that the first all-female marching band was formed at the University of Southern California. Maybe that's why you love it down there, Trish. Like, you feel the vibes happening. And
I think you're right.
it broke gender barriers in the traditionally male-dominated field.
Do you remember there were those competitive drum corps international all female corps? We got to bring that back. If the Cavaliers are going to stay all male, we got to do an all female one.
Oh, there were
what's going on?
There were tons.
Yeah. Bring it. What do you remember? So one of them, I feel like I remember being the Brigadettes or something like that. What were some other corps? Do you remember?
Bandettes, maybe.
The Bandettes. Yep.
I think the one that, I mean, there are so many. I mean, I could name a million off the top of my head, but that's a show for another day. I think one of the most revered ones, and one of the ones that was most recognizable, was Les Chatelaines from Quebec. And they used to come out, I don't know if the video's available anywhere, but they used to come out with chairs. They would like march out onto the field with these folding chairs and put them out. And it was like a whole big like moment, like they would like close them all together, and they had really, really, really cool uniforms. So if you ever get a chance to check that out, it was Les Chatelaines.
Interesting, little 09 BD vibes. I see how it goes. I still remember being in the stands and people watching the Blue Devils sit during the ballot hit, and they were like, "This is not drum corps." And if they could see what was happening today, I feel like they would lose their just absolute cool. That's really interesting. I'm gonna hit us with one more, and then we're gonna move forward. We're gonna stay in the 1900s. I planned this. First International Marching Band Festival, the first world music contest held in the 1970s. I'm gonna butcher this. Kerkrade, Netherlands, brought together marching bands from all around the globe for competition. That was 1970. That's pretty cool. I wonder why is I feel like drum corps has taken that on, but there's got to be something like the festival doesn't feel like it's like it's just, it does not have the ordinals. So maybe, I don't know. I feel like we could do something like that still and get like, I loved watching Jubal from the UK come out and do it. No, there were from Netherlands. That'd be cool to see stuff like that.
Netherlands, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's grab our last sips, get back out there to rehearsal, and rehearse part 2. We'll be back on the next water break.
Hey, this is Christine Ream.
And Chris Green.
Guard Closet was founded as a consignment business in 2000. Since then, it has grown to include winter guard, band, percussion, and other genres.
We can help you with custom flag and costuming designs.
Our consignment inventory has plenty of great looks for your color guard, drumline, and marching band.
Pay it forward. When you purchase consignment, you help other programs. Last year, we sold over 400 sets of consignments and returned over $125,000 in payments to our consigners for their sales.
Additionally, Guard Closet offers custom and pre-designed costumes, flags, floors, and formal wear, full or partial show writing, educational programming, and other services.
Max out your rehearsal time and set up a microsite for easy student ordering for shoes, gloves, and other equipment.
The Guard Closet team is here to help you get everything you want and need for your season. Check us out at guardcloset.com and follow us on social media.
Maybe.
I think we
Hold on, I lost my sounds. Sorry.
You're all good.
I think this is right. Y'all, I don't know what's happening.
So
I'm going to play that one more time.
If you're clicking on two different, like if you clicked on one and then you clicked on it again, it's overlapping. So just, hit it now.
Sorry, I was dancing over here. First times in marching band. I'm really excited to start talking about this. Johnny, what do you remember about your first marching band competition? What you got for us today?
I'm going to give a little context how I got into marching band. So in fifth grade, we had arts. California was very like try everything when we were in elementary school. So I tried clarinet. That was the thing I could play. I tried everything else and wasn't quite, didn't know how to use those muscles. So go on. I didn't play it. I lost my clarinet in fifth grade, and I was too afraid to go tell the band teacher. But it turns out it was in the the classroom the whole time, and he just thought I didn't want to come anymore. But we had to select an elective for our freshman year, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I was like, well, I played clarinet for like 2 weeks. I think I can do it. So I put it on my schedule. I showed up when regular class started, and apparently I was behind. I didn't know like camps existed. I had not a single clue how to read music. I could barely remember like where a C was on the staff. And but the thing was like I saw all these different people and people were nice, and they looked like they were having fun, so I kind of just figured it out on the fly. Which takes me to the first marching band competition. Was Pacific Grove, uh, which is like Northern California, near the coast, and we took charter buses. So our band was, if I remember correctly, like 150 to 200 people. We had a pretty massive band, and it was just cool to experience like all these friends I had started making. We got to spend hours together on the bus. Like the night before we were going, we were all like shopping together at Walmart and like what candy can we get? What chips can we get? It was like the childhood dream I'd always had of going on like a road trip. And we were talking about like what game are we going to bring for our DS and like who's bringing what and just all of these things that made it super cool, and like how do we dress for there and all of that. Um so it was really the first time I kind of like got this sense of belonging. Like I was more than just this really weird kid that liked everything from like the Care Bears soundtrack to like metal and hip hop and pop. My dad was a DJ, so I got music has kind of always been in my life. That's also what kind of made me stick with this. And as we were going, Phantom of the Opera was my freshman year show. It was we had people on staff from Vanguard and Blue Devils, so it was just this really like artistic-y approach that I had no idea what the hell was going on, but you know, I was having a great time. We had field judges and they had no idea I wasn't playing because I was definitely fingering my butt off because I didn't know what the actual notes were. So I was just doing my best and playing the part. But what was cool is like pulling up and seeing all these other bands, getting to enjoy the coast, doing a parade that I'd never done before. I've only seen them on TV. And then like having a break, getting food, getting ready for our field show, doing the field show, and just this crowd was so massive. It was so addicting. Like they just wanted to watch what they were doing. They were so interested in all of these kids like playing notes and hitting drums and twirling silks. And when it got to after we took off our uniform, we got to hit the snack bar. I love food, so that was obviously my love language when we were on competitions. We sat in the stands, and it was so cool to be a band that was admired by other people. So when we swept the competition, it was just like, this is why I do this. I like to be good at what I do. And just the camaraderie just made me so addicted to everything that marching band had to give. It's why like I love teaching middle school kids. It's why I love teaching high school groups that maybe don't have a really great foundation or like just really have kind of did the thing because that was what they had to do. Because I remember And during that time, like I was saying, I played clarinet, and then throughout the years, I tried other stuff, and I actually ended up in color guard. My senior year, I just decided to try it, and that kind of took me into my DCI career and then teaching. Yeah, so that's what I remember. What a feeling. And that's why I'm so addicted to supporting it today.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think it resounds. I think that story resounds with pretty much everybody on this podcast and people that are going to listen to this podcast. Is my experiences with all of this, and I'm sure all of ours, is this sense of belonging. And so we talk about that a lot with the groups that we teach. Is everything that's happening outside of the world is happening outside of the world, but like in this 50 yards this way, 100 yards this way, we have control, and this is our family and this is our place. So it is addictive. I've tried so many times to get away from the marching arts, but it just continues to pull me back. I owned an automotive repair garage. I was a lead salesperson for a major electronics company in the U.S. I wrote a Bible on how to sell to people. Like, I was really good at that. And I was like, you know what? I want to put dots on a field and label children as numbers. And so that's what I do now, and it just continues to pull me back. And now we both do this full time. Like, there's something about that camaraderie that just continues to pull us in. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Austin, I heard you had a story about your first marching band experience. Care to share?
Yes. So my first, I want to tell a story, or I kind of want to tell two stories. One, I remember a lot more of the journey. One, I remember a lot more of the destination. So I will tell the story of the journey first. So I remember I'm from North Carolina. We were going up to the Kettering Fairmont Regional in Dayton, Ohio for BOA. Don't know why we chose to go there, but we did. I don't know why. It's just we wanted to see how we were faring against some Ohio groups, and like Centerville was there, and we're like, okay, and we're this tiny this tiny 70, 80 person band. And so we're driving up, everything's fine, and we had this plan to stop in a little town outside of Charleston called Nitro, West Virginia. And we stopped, we rehearsed there. It was very kind of like drum corps in a way. We drive, we stopped in Nitro, West Virginia, and then we keep rehearsing, and then we're kind of hanging out there a little longer than we had anticipated. We later find out that one of the buses, I think their brakes weren't cooling down or something of that sort. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I'm like a freshman in high school, mind you. So I'm freshly 14. And so we're just kind of hanging out. We're like, all right, what's going on? And then eventually it all kind of came to a head, and it's getting dark. It's like October, it's getting dark. It's like 7, 8 o'clock at night. And we have one bus. We need two buses. So what they decided to do is that we decided to send the girls, all the girls, up to the hotel first so they could sleep. The closest bus that they could get us was like 6 hours away. It was ridiculous. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. I'm just kind of feeding off the information of a couple other people. And next thing I know, we're hanging out. And then all of a sudden we end up in some random dojo in Nitro, West Virginia, all the dudes. We end up in this one like literal karate literal karate dojo. And we're like kind of like getting some shut eye in there for a couple of hours. And I didn't realize
I don't
know,
what's
right?
happening.
I felt the same way. You click it again. Click it again. There we go.
We got to just keep it going. Yeah, at this point.
Yeah, that's how I felt. That's really how I felt during all of this. And I'm like, because little did I know I was going to do this again for the next 4 years or not for the next 4 years, but like a little bit down the line. I'd do this for 4 years of my life in drum corps. This is kind of my first taste of that. And so we end up getting on a bus at like 3 o'clock in the morning, end up driving up, and we get to the hotel at like probably like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. We have prelims at like noon that day. And the best part about this story is that somehow by the grace of God or whatever is out there, we ended up making finals. I don't know how we did, but it was a fantastic show. We made finals. We're like, oh my goodness, this is like the best. Like it was a whole thing. We're like, this is incredible. I'm loving this. And we ended up doing finals, and we didn't really care how we did in finals. We ended up getting 10th. That's when BOA was still 10th place, or 10 spots in finals. We ended up getting 10th. We're like, whatever. We came what we accomplished to do. We did it, and then a little bit later, a couple weeks, we went to Indianapolis with the exact same show. So we did 2 out-of-state trips that year for the Super Regional, not Grand Nationals, because that was our test run for how are we going to go to Grand Nationals. And I remember just being a little baby freshman thinking, okay, and we show up to this big NFL stadium. We're like, oh my gosh, this place is huge. What's going on? And I just remember walking in the tunnel and I don't remember anything about the show. I have no idea what happened. I think I have one total action shot from the show, and that's all I have to remember it by. I just remember the feeling of walking into Lucas Oil and being like, whoa, this is like legit. There are always going to be crazy stories, and that is the first of many, many, many crazy stories that I have. And I'm thankful to have those crazy stories. Otherwise, my life would be boring.
Yeah, I just think it's so cool that at 14 years old you got to become a black belt in karate and then go to your first BOA. I mean, that's pretty incredible,
right? Yeah, I mean, I will tell you that dojo was probably one of the most horrendous smells I've ever smelled in my life. It was nothing but straight BO. It was awful.
We have this. They put the Genesis staff in in like a dojo, but it was like in a community center. So the mats I feel like were used when they got them, and so like you see, like you sit in the mat, and it just goes, and this all the ghosts of all the white belts just like shoot up in the air, and it's like,
yeah,
who did that? You know, like we started blaming each other. Yeah, it never ends.
I know exactly what that's like.
It's a lot of hurry up and wait and a lot of terrible and great, and that's kind of the cool thing about marching band. That's cool. Thank you for sharing that, Alicia. What was your first marching band competition experience? And this is gonna be juicy. I'm really excited. You kind of shared a little bit.
So excited for this story. I really am.
Oh, I will say I just hurt my own feelings because Austin, you mentioned how long ago yours was, and I just realized mine was 20 years ago this fall that this happened, which is so painful. But my very first marching band competition, it was also a similar experience. Not that I went to Lucas Oil, but that I went to it was on a college campus. And I'd never seen a stadium that big. But I had just started dating our drum major, the band's drum major.
It's always the drum major. It's always the drum major or the center snare. I'm telling you.
I'll interject. I have a type, y'all. My ex-husband was a band director. My current partner is a band director. I'm guilty. But I did not marry the drum major for what it's worth. But I just started dating the drum major of our band, and we went to that competition, and I don't remember how we did. I don't remember anything about the performance. I remember that I was so excited to hold his hand in the stands, which is so adorably embarrassing. But our band won the overall like grand champion award for that competition. And afterwards, we were walking back to the bus together, and Ryan was his name. Ryan kissed me, and it was my very first kiss. And shout out to Ryan. He might be listening. He's still in the band world, and he and I are still good friends to this day. But yeah, 20 years ago, this past October, my very first kiss at my very first marching band competition.
That is adorable.
I love that.
Usually you get flowers for a great like performance or a championship. You got a whole smooch. We should start that. Yeah. That's awesome. How long have you all been? I'm gonna dive in now. How long have y'all been dating? You know, what were the future plans? You know, what was the wedding gonna look like? Like, what did it all kind of? Give me all the details.
Listen, we We had been dating for 6 days.
Oh my gosh, kissing within 6
And
days.
I know
Handle
I'm a
this.
harlot, especially in the South. Listen,
Oh.
but it's compared to what high school love looks like nowadays. We were
Yeah.
tame. So, but no, and we actually, Ryan and I, we dated for a few years, and we both went and auditioned for drum corps for the first time together. And our first summer of drum corps, he was marching troopers and I was marching Southwind. This was the Southwind before the Southwind that exists now. But it's, like I said, to this day, like he got involved in music, and he married a person that he ended up marching Colts with. So we're good friends now, and still know each other.
Well, that is so cool. We went from black belt to Bible belt in like one little sit here. That's really neat. So that was what year were you when this all happened? Like, was this was your freshman year?
Yeah, this was 2004.
2004. I'm not going to do the math. I'm not going to do that to you online. That's really cool. I like that. That's so
If you
sweet.
tell me you were a baby.
No, remember I was born in the 1900s, so that
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, yes, fair. fair.
No comment.
I was left. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Do you remember? No, we won't talk about that on that. Trish, do you want to tell us about your first marching band competition or experience?
So earlier you were going to ask me like what was my first high school marching band experience. I actually didn't march in my high school marching band. I know. I was a horrible person. I completely regret it now, but there's a reason. I was already doing drum corps, and I was marching what's now world class in Winter Guard, back then was open class. I was already marching independent. Like I was already in Royal Guardsmen. Like I was already and I was kind of acting like, why would Mia Hamm play for her high school soccer team? Like, and I regret it. And it wasn't a good decision. Now looking back, I totally regret it. But I was marching independent. I was just doing, and I didn't come from a high school. I came from Little Dumont High School in New Jersey. I didn't come from a big, like, probably if I'd have been in like, my school had been like a big competitive, like BOA program, probably would have put a different spin on it for me. But I just didn't do it. And I was a snob, and I guess I should have, but whatever. But my first high school marching band teaching experience was Portchester High School in Portchester, New York, just above New York City. I was really super young. It was my first. I've been teaching Winter Guard since I aged out, but this was my first like marching band experience, which, as you know, is a totally different beast. When you're teaching marching, drum corps or Winter Guard, those are kids who sign up for it. Those are kids that want to be, they want to do something independent, so they're super super invested. In high school marching band, you get like kind of a mix. So we had two girls. The band director had said to me, and now again, this is a long time ago, so the world is very different at this point. A little bit less tolerant, whatever. But there were two girls who just. I believe is so long ago. I believe now one of them would have probably been considered on the spectrum, but I'm not really sure. I don't want to classify anybody. But it was like she wants to be a part of it. And there was another girl too. She wants to be a part of it, but she can't really do. So I said, okay, there used to be a thing back in the day where like people would just, it was called a pick, and people would just like pick things up and move them around and whatever. So she could do that, right? Great. The band director's super happy. She puts the uniform on. She just wants to be a part of it, whatever. Now, things probably would be a little bit different now, but this is down in that, whatever. So, at the first competition in Connecticut, right, which is Westchester County, New York is just below the Connecticut border, so a lot of the competitions were in Connecticut. So, we're at the first competition in Connecticut. They get out on the field. We're all set. I'm super nervous, whatever, right? They come up to me. They come off the field I'll never forget this. They come off the field in the middle of the performance and start asking me questions. And I'm so like zoned in that I'm answering them. I'm like, yeah, so that goes over. Wait a minute, get back out on the field. Like, it's a performance. Like, the judges are and I'm answering the questions. I'm like, yeah, you're right. That goes over there. And I'm like, you just walked off the field in the middle of a show and judged performance to ask me questions. I said, get back out there.
Do you get penalized? Like, what does that look like? Okay.
No, we didn't. Not that I know of, anyway. But I was like, and I'm talking to them like I'm like so locked in. I'm like, right, yeah, and I'm watching. I'm like, yeah, that goes over there. Yeah, what are you doing? So that's was not only my first marching band experience, but that is a huge "what are we doing" moment. So,
I would pay such good money to see that happen.
I'll never forget it.
That would be so funny to watch. Like, I would love to see that happen in real time.
I think we all have stories of show day. Just, I tell my kids there are no dumb questions, but sometimes there's things you maybe need to think about before asking somebody. Like, I had a kid. We were going to warm up, and I was like, "All right, grab your stuff for warm up," and they're like, "Am I going to need my uniform?" And I go, "What does in uniform by two mean, my guy?" They're like, "Do I need my mouthpiece?" Like, what? Yeah, you need your mouthpiece. There was a kid that was like, this past year we used the Pride of Cincinnati anti-gravity prop from a couple years ago in one of my marching band shows, and one of them was like, "Hey," I literally said, "I know we're heading to the field to perform. Do we need the harness?" And I was like, do we need the harness for the show that we're about to do when the buses are 20 minutes away? We're in the middle of that, and we're going to, yes, you need the harness. And he was like, I was really hoping you weren't going to say that. It's definitely on the bus. And I was like, and you chose right now after we had 45 minutes in warm up. You didn't want to tell me then. And so 100%,
right.
I don't know if I was like that when I was a kid. Maybe I was. I definitely was the asking questions type, and I would just ask questions to make just to piss my band directors off. I'd be like, I know we practiced all this stuff this week, but I kind of want to play saxophone today. And they'd be like, Joey, just shut up. I would do it as a joke.
Right.
These kids are like, do I need my flags for today? I'm like, do you want to practice today?
Right.
Right. You a part of the team today? I don't know.
Oh man. Some kids just never change.
Joey, I genuinely believe that kids these days, that's all I can say, kids these days, we could do a whole episode on how much it has
totally
changed.
Can.
I genuinely think kids right now, the common sense is lost, or the critical thinking process. I'm a little worried.
I'm really excited for a decade from now when people
Don't worry, they'll become my clients, and I'll
Emily, fix them now. Let's go. I'm really excited for a decade from now when they do all the of all the things that we lost through COVID. There's incredibly intricate social dynamics that we've missed, and developmental things in terms of the social, the critical thinking. What we feel like is common sense is not common sense, and it's only common sense because it's passed down. We missed. Some groups missed 2-3 years of this, and so it's almost like we have to teach them everything. I
agreed.
Kids are crazy this year. Kids are crazy these days, and I've been doing these presentations lately about teaching this generation, and it's very much you kind of have to tell them everything. In a world where they have all the answers right here. I think the process of how would I, you can't Google where my dot is. You can with UDB, not sponsored. But there are ways to get the answer, but the critical thinking, I think that's what it is find where to get the answer is hard for them these days. And so telling them where those resources are is really important for us. And we write these, elaborate handbooks for them to be like, oh, do you want to see where the end out is of the drop spin? Go look at the manual, and give them those resources. But that's just a lot. That's a lot of work that I don't remember having to do when I was younger, or even like my first year's teaching. That's a funny first talking leader. That's crazy.
But they all will probably have very chaotic first marching band show stories in a few years. So
we're gonna have to bring this episode back. We'll be like, let's recap this. Let's see. Maybe we all bring a student on
with the Gen Alpha, Gen Z kids.
So I forgot my entire. Oh, that's what it was. I had a kid forget his entire tenor drum thing. He's like, I brought the harness. I just thought somebody would pack the drums. And I was like, what about pack your drums? Did you? Anyway, Sarah, do you have any fond memories of your first marching band experience?
See, I wouldn't say the word fond. I would say traumatic. I wish I had an instructor like you guys when I was in high school. So I went to high school in Wichita, Kansas, and, it's a kind of a smaller community, smaller town and stuff like that. And we went to our first marching band competition. They did not teach us how to get onto the field or set our equipment or anything like that. And so I was a color group kid, and I had my whole handful of 6 flags to set or something crazy like that. And so we went and we were setting up the show, and halfway through setup, the announcement comes on as drum majors, is your band ready?
No, we're ready.
And we were not ready. And so we're trying to hurry up and set our equipment, and the drum majors did what they were practiced. They did their salute, and then they got set up and they started the show. 5, 6, 7, 8 step up.
Oh no.
Half of the color guard section was still setting equipment. I remember that show. We all started off in a circle in the middle of the field. It was very, definable shape. And a whole section of the circle was not there. Yeah. And so we're running, and as 15, 16-year-olds, you don't know what to do in that situation, your first year of guard. So, we grab our equipment and we run out and I guess skip the first couple sets and hop in, whenever you got there. But it was, not a fun experience for the very first show. You have all those jitters and everything. And on top of that, having the show start without you is things that people have nightmares about. So not
what was the aftermath of that? You remember the conversation that happened after that?
He had blocked out a lot of it. I just remember people tears coming off the field and just a whole bunch of hubbub, and people pointing fingers and drum majors saying, well, the band director said to go, and band director saying, no, I told the drum majors to not go, and I think everybody was nervous for their first show and just wanted to do it, jump the gun a little bit.
And I bet it never happened again.
Oh yeah. Sure.
So I'm gonna be real honest with everybody. I knew we needed to bring somebody on, and I was like, I don't know how to talk to people about their first time marching band. So I straight up told Sarah she was doing the podcast. Not a public speaker. We covered this already. That kind of explains a little bit about your. I feel like it's OCD, and I thought it was just you being a stickler for things, but Sarah does entire rehearsals where she just sets the field and then picks up the field and go.
Yeah, each kid knows exactly where they're setting their equipment. If we're having people set different, their friends' equipment, they know where it's being set. Sometimes if we have props, I'll write on the back of the prop, this should have 4 of the first movement flags. Or, I'll list out and that kind of stuff. And they know what equipment they're taking off the field. So it's not a chaotic, Ratatouille reps running around the field, picking up stuff.
That's crazy.
Go
ahead.
Your story gave me anxiety because at BD, we also rehearse getting on and off the field very meticulously. But but why it gives me so much anxiety is because there's so many times that a mirror was in the wrong place and that had certain equipment on it, or part of the house was like broken and we didn't know what to do, so we like couldn't move it properly. And it's just like all of that anxiety of like, oh my God, what do I do? This is the first time I've ever experienced this. I know I'm supposed to be like a marching band color guard professional in this moment, but I have no idea what the hell to do. So I know how to look pretty, and we're gonna make it happen. Like that's where it came from for me when you said that.
Yeah.
Do you
No, I
guys
mean,
have the nightmares now? Like, I have
Oh.
nightmares where I like set my stuff wrong or can't find my flag or someone took my flag or whatever. Yeah.
110%. I have the dreams where you learn the choreography 5 minutes before you head out, and you're having to kind of like match what everybody's doing and kind of fake it.
see, and I'm notorious for putting in choreography in the last warm up of the season. I'd be like, hey, do you guys know at the very end, like, just one more thing? Like, what if we just went on a plie on the super piano, and then you stand up to second position standing during the crescendo? Let's just practice it a couple times. And like, my kids are like, we'd rather not. And I go, just try it one time. Yeah, it's my bad. Yeah. Sorry, I'm your worst nightmare. I have nightmares about like missing deadlines, which I do all the time, and I like missing a meeting. Like I was afraid that I was gonna miss this, and so we actually tried to log on like 30 minutes before just to make sure that it was gonna work. Like that, those are the nightmares I have now. More of like make sure I'm doing a good job. I'm a terrible communicator. I'm working on it. We're gonna move on.
Well, we're glad you made it.
Yeah.
We're moving on, Sarah.
Such adult nightmares. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about my nightmares anymore. Emily, fix me. What you got?
Oh man, so first thing, so once upon a time in a high school, long time ago, I literally went to a no-name high school. You've probably never heard of it in your life, but there was something that the middle school did. Oh, fine, I went to Green Valley High School in Las Vegas. I would be surprised if any of you knew what that was.
It sounds
But
like
anyway, the point is that, huh?
I said it sounds like a high school. Or it could be,
I mean, it's in the name. But anyway, I was in middle school, and one of the fun things we did is that we would go on a field trip to the high school for homecoming, I think. And I got to wear this really dumb green and blue like band jacket thing. And it's like, wait, what do you mean bands march? How does that even work? So, and also the best part of that is that my friend and I were hanging out, and my friend tried to jump scare me, but she accidentally opened the door on my foot. So I had to do the parade with my foot stubbed because I was being a dumb middle school kid. And then I finally watched the high school show, and I was just like, nobody told me bands can move, but why is it cool, and why do I want to join it?
That's awesome. So you saw it for your first time in middle school. What, you were in 8th grade, 7th grade?
8th grade, yeah.
8th grade.
Is
So
that
you
right?
had one more year before you can jump in, or in Nevada, do they do the 8th graders march with you? Was that an option for you?
No, we just went on a field. Just like, this is something you could do. I'm like, okay, cool. I had no idea musicians could do that. And then it gets even better. This is gonna sound like voodoo, witchy, woohoo magic. I was at Disney World one day. You know that Epcot light show, Reflections of Earth?
Yeah.
So
no
we
longer
saw that
exists.
show, and I
Rest
thought the
in peace.
soundtrack was really cool. And I was just like, I wonder if this would translate well to a marching band show. Guess what my freshman year high school show was? Reflections of Earth. That sounds like, why does this sound so
Awesome.
familiar? And then it was like that weird thing. It's like, wait, was I meant to do this? And then, the rest is history. I didn't end up being staff for anything, but, Jeremy's probably overshared so much about me at this point. But I did a lot of band art. I started doing uniform stuff. Yeah.
That's exciting.
It was meant to be.
Yeah.
Clearly.
It really feels like I'm doing a show about the red string theory. Like we're all kind of like you're connected to your person, and like you're supposed to meet or whatever. And like more and more, like again, like I tried to push away, but every time like it just pulled me back. And somebody would be like, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing a show about this," and I'd be like, "I'm actually like really passionate about I love choreography with umbrellas. Very niche market. If you need choreography with umbrellas, I got you. I practice all the time in my living room, breaking stuff. All right. I've hit my dog.
If anyone needs
Arrest me.
uniforms,
Mary Poppins got nothing on Joey.
Mary Poppins not me. I do with it. So that was the thing that brought me back was this person was talking about like, oh, I'm doing a show about rain and I want to do an umbrella feature with a saber, and I was like, I haven't done marching band in 2 years. 100%, let's do it. And then we're 13 years later. I'm doing this 30 bands in the fall and 15 in the winter. Like I just feel like there's something connects and keeps pulling us back in. And like. It's such a.
But did you write the saber choreo too?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so I didn't know how to spin saber, but I was like, oh, you just kind of flip it, and I was like, oh, well, you can like roll it over the hand, and now then you can throw the umbrella up, and what do you call these things? And they're like, it's a toss, and I go, yeah, just you just toss it, and then you just grab the umbrella with the other hand, and they were like, that is something that. Yeah, and they were like, that's what you would call a world-class skill set. And I was like, and what are we? And they're like, we are regional A. And I go, okay, so don't throw the saber. And they're like, no, that's the whole point. And I was like, oh, okay, my bad. Yeah,
oh my gosh.
I'm silly. I'm a goof. So did you do all 4 years of marching band, or like I guess I had this question. I'm ready to give it. Are you ready to go? 3, 2, 1. Here's the question. What did you play, Emily?
Wait, who are you talking to? Oh, wait, who are you talking to? So I originally played flute, but then like in the past few years I came out as low brass. Anyway.
Interesting.
Okay, you ready for a dumb joke?
Yes, I am.
So I can do flute and I can also do low brass, so I'm bisexual.
Love it. That's goofy.
I'm not giving you applause for that one.
Oh man.
I thought it was funny. I don't know what it is. A lot of band directors, and maybe we'll do a podcast about why that switches a lot. But like, so I have an independent group, and we've got a couple of flutes, and we're like, oh, we could just move them to tuba. And I go, flute, tuba, those are totally different. They're like, oh, it's a Sousa. They don't have to be strong. It just sits on them. And I go, but how are they gonna? And it just seems to be like a pretty easy switch. Was it an easy switch for you?
In a strange way, kind of. Like I, for some reason, instinctively knew what to do when I was handed the instrument. I was just like, okay.
Well, that's cool.
There's something about the air support that translates from flute to tuba really well. My partner, he's a band director, and he switches kids from flute to tuba pretty frequently.
Oh, yeah.
Actually,
sousaphone right behind me.
Yeah,
yeah, I understand. It's a similar air thing. I don't know much about it. I'm just a visual guy.
Yeah, I tell kids to point their feet.
It's similar air.
Interesting. Well, I'll finish up with mine, and then we'll keep pushing forward. Thank you guys for sharing your first. My first. So when I marched marching band in high school, I was an absolute goof. I was a goof in high. I mean, obviously, I'm goofy. I was a goof in high school. I really don't remember very much about the experience, other than we did this like ceremony where we put red Gatorade in this plastic gauntlet, and we would call it the blood cup. And so the mellophones would drink this. We would have. It was like a weird ritual. Something about like cults and stuff. Whatever. So I remember that about high school. Yeah, you can keep looking at me like that. It's honestly, I feel the same way. So I don't really have any stories about my high school marching band career. I will say, the one thing that I'd love to share is my first time writing drill for a BOA regional finalist. I had been writing drill for about 8 years, and there's this Facebook page that has all of the groups that make finals around the place, and everybody shares and links people. Yeah, I mean, good for them. Everybody kind of.
That was actually a total accident.
No, I mean, it takes a lot of hard work, and everything's got to work right. So good on them. It was well placed. So like as soon as I got into that group, I was in that group for 8 years and watched people share, Mitch Rogers, Wes Pendergrass, Stephen Aaliyah, Leon May, Michael Gaines, all these names started to pop up, and I was like, I want, that is something that I know I've made it once I get my name up there. And so it was maybe 2018, 2019, and I'd been working really hard to try and get on those lists. And what I found afterward is that it's more than just the drill writer. It is the drill writer, the ranger, the teachers, the students, the props, the parents. Like, there's so much that goes into you being put in that level that it was kind of unfair for me to put that kind of pressure on myself. I now just write drill and try to do a good job, and that's kind of how you do well. I know that now, but it was 2018, 2019, and the weeks going in before that was well placed. I love that. The weeks going before, like, it was boom, boom, boom. Michael Gaines was on there a bunch. I remember Leon May. I remember Seed, Stephen Aaliyah, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, my groups are doing what, like, this group is doing really well. We're scoring in the 80s. We're pushing in. It's the second week of October, and the group makes the regional final, and I go, yes, my name's gonna get on it. And for some reason, whoever makes that list didn't post the finalist for that regional. And so I'm sitting there all day being like, they're going to do it. I'm going to get to finally be like, here we go. I'm going to make it happen. And I was so excited. And, we share a glass of champagne anytime our groups do a first whatever or a great whatever. And so, like, I had the champagne ready, and I was like, it's not real until it's on this page. And it turned to midnight, and I was like, maybe it was a long day. We cleaned glasses, took our sip, went to bed, whatever. Wake up on Sunday, and I'm like, all right, here it goes. Didn't happen. They just didn't post that regional, and I realized that the person that was doing this had like a team of 3 people, and they would just post what regionals they were at, and that's how it would come out very quickly, that list of groups. And so nobody was at that specific regional on the East Coast, so my name didn't get put up there or anything, and I was like devastated. Absolutely just young and dumb and devastated that I couldn't share the success. And this was still part in the part of Facebook where people didn't want to share their successes. People, like, there was this weird stigma of like, oh, you don't talk about your group's doing well, you don't blah blah blah. But us as private contractors and freelance whatever, that's kind of how you get business. You kind of have to share the successes. I'm working to find out where that middle ground is still today, but I felt so robbed of I did this thing that I became pretty sour for the rest of the season. And Sarah was like, you're kind of being a bum, like you're kind of being a goose about all of this. Like, you did a good job. And she was the one that was just like, you realize that to do this, it wasn't just you writing the drill, it was all these people. And Sarah's kind of been my rock in all of this. So from then on, I think it was 2018 because we did a 2019 and the group did well again. And then 2020 happened, and I really got to reset how I think about marching band. But yeah, my first time getting a BOA regional finalist, the list didn't get shown up. I was devastated because I was young and clownish. But now I don't care. I just kind of write drill that's gonna be representative of how I've learned to design, and I'm much happier for it. Yeah. Go team. Can I ask just a broad question to the group while we're talking about our first? Does anybody have anything that surprised them at their first show, or maybe another experience from their first time shows, or anything about first with the marching arts that you guys would be willing to share before we move on to a commercial break? Going once, going twice. That's okay. We did talk a lot about our first. It's truly okay. I think having Johnny on here and everybody talking about their first, like this idea of camaraderie keeps coming along and working together, and there's a lot of lessons that come from that first run, and that's usually what I tell my marching bands is like, hey, I know you're freaking out, and there's nothing I can tell you right now that's going to make it better other than reps make you more comfortable. We probably should have done more reps if you're feeling this anxious. So let's just take a breath. You're going to go through it. It's a roller coaster, so it's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to go all around. And then you're going to come to, you're going to come back to reality at the end of it when you're marching off. And then we'll talk about next week how to make this better. I'm I love the first show because that's the first time for people to react, and so the first show and the last show I'll always sit on the end zone and watch the crowd react, and that's how I kind of discern like pacing things and seeing like what's working, what's not working, and so that first shows really get like our first chance to see is all this stuff we've been planning for 9 months actually working, and so I love first shows. We are going to go.
That's great advice too. I think. Sorry, no, I was gonna say. I think it was Rick Subel that first shared that with me. Like at the first show or one of the first shows, you have to watch the audience and see what the audience is watching, and is the audience reacting to those planned effects the way you want them to, and if not, you got to make changes. I think that really changed how I design.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it is so cool to sit like on that end zone and watch their heads go and follow a ripple, and you go, the ripple worked. They watch that toss, and they go, yeah, like just seeing that reaction. A, is just validating that things are working, but B, when they don't do what you want them to do, you're like, okay, I'll go. Like it's like a football coach, do some video review and figure out how to make what you want to happen. So if there's any listeners out here that are looking for what to do to continue on designing past the first show, because that's the other thing too, is I have a lot of band directors that put the entire the show on before their first show and don't change a thing for the rest of the season, and it's like this is a living, breathing organism. Like you gotta find a way to keep the audience engaged, but B, you gotta find a way to keep your students engaged. And the easiest thing for me is to always have them learning up until the last day. There's always something that could be clean, something that could be adjusted, and there's always something that could be better. And I think that's a great lesson of life, is like you can be happy with where you're at, but also continuing to push forward with improving things. Yeah. We are going to go to commercial. When we come back, we're going to do some What Are We Doings?
Hey everyone, it's Jeremy, your producer from On a Water Break, and here are your announcements coming from the box. While you're enjoying this amazing episode, don't forget our other episodes, including the one about Peggy Twiggs, the one where we go behind the scenes of the Olympics and the marching arts. We check out the first female drummers from Crossmen. We also have amazing special features, including At Step Off with Jack Goudreau, Lost in Translation with Cynthia Bernard, and Behind the Lens with Chris Marr and Russell Tanakaya. Don't forget our other bonus feature, On a Water Break With, where we explore individuals or small groups. We talk to people like Eric Carr, Forte Athletics, and comedian Tony Deo. If you know of a story, or you know of someone that would make a great story, email us at onawaterbreakpodcast@gmail.com. Okay, field staff, take it away.
All right, we are back, and it's time for What Are We Doing? Alicia, do you got a What Are We Doing for us this week?
I think I actually have a What Are We Doing sound to play.
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Sure. Yes, I have one inspired by a post I saw in a Facebook group today. What are we doing? Asking people to work for free.
Ooh.
If you cannot afford to pay a designer, you should not be hiring a designer. If you cannot afford a choreographer, you're not hiring a choreographer. Like, it just asking people to work for free or come or spend their time or whatever, and then giving the excuse that like, oh, it's great for experience or you're young, is just such a disservice. And to anybody listening, don't do it, because every program can find at least a little bit to pay you.
Yeah. Yeah, this is something that kind of happens not only in like the scholastic space, but the independent space as well. I will say that at Eva, we don't pay our staff members; we pay our designers, and what we do instead, I will, I'll pay for gas. I'll pay for Here's a big staff meal that we'll have.
Correct.
Our budgets in the independent space are so small. It's hard. I get that it's hard, but I do know other groups that go, yeah, no, this is for experience. Like we are a blank group. We are a top tier da da da, and it's like that's kind of gross to me because they don't ever do a good job of like sending your name out past the season being done. If it's about experience and exposure, none of that really comes to fruition. At Eva, we really try to do a good job of, like if we have a young staff member, guiding them through some first year problems and situations, and if you want to be a designer, this is what the design team decided. But like if you're not willing to do any of that and just get the free work, like this may not be the place for you.
It shouldn't cost anybody money to do this. I think that's the point that Joey's trying to make, and he's making it like perfectly. It shouldn't. Well, I mean, because like Joey was just saying, in addition to being the director of my high school program, I also have a very small, very low key independent winter. It's very low key. It's almost kind of like a rec guard. It was started as an alumnus program of my high school team, but it's kind of not really that anymore. But it's called NV Winter Guard, and you can look us up. We're part of the Dream Performing Arts Organization. You have any kids you want to send my way in North Jersey? Shameless plug. But it's the same thing. I am working on a very, very, very limited budget, and I have a couple of staff members. I don't take anything because of the fact that the budget is so low. But again, I make sure everybody gets a little bit of gas money or whatever, because it shouldn't. Because I have this one kid that's coming in to write for us, and he's like, as long as it doesn't cost me anything to come, I'll come. So I make sure it gets a little bit of gas money or whatever. But I think what you're saying is super important. Even if nobody should do this for free, I get that. But even if you don't have the budget for it, nobody should be paying. This shouldn't cost anybody to do anything either.
Yeah, there's got to be some kind of takeaway too, right? Like, you can't just give and not get anything back. That's just not. It spells that there are bigger problems when you expect that, and so yeah, Alicia, that's a fantastic. What are we doing, Trish? You had some thoughts on this. Do you have a what are we doing today?
I do. What are we doing? And I did a what are we doing from MetLife Stadium last week at US Bands Nationals about this. What are we doing with the spaghetti shows? This band was rolling out at MetLife Stadium in 5 Open Nationals, and my kids started screaming, "Oh my God, it's the TikTok show. It's the TikTok show." I go, what are you talking about? And it wasn't I don't think it was the TikTok spaghetti show. I think there are more than one spaghetti shows this fall. But the one I saw, and I'm not shading you, Musselman High School from West Virginia, you had those kids on their feet. And if your goal was to go out there and entertain people, job well done. You did it. You got it. And my kids loved it. And I'm not throwing shade. But, I mean, cool. I mean, if all good on you if you could go out there with tomato swing flags, garlic bread swing flags, and yellow pool noodles as pasta. I mean, it's all good, but apparently the one we saw is not the only spaghetti show this year. So what are we doing?
Someone got ran over by a meatball.
Yeah.
Yes.
Straight up Indiana Jones style.
Yeah, I might get like flamed for this, but do you guys know in the movie Bring It On how the choreographer gave all the cheerleading groups the exact same music and choreography?
Yes.
Like someone has done this to these groups this year, because I know of 5 different groups doing this show.
5?
And it looks very similar, and it's the same music and the same title. So who did this is my question.
Right.
5?
Yeah.
Wow.
If you search them on TikTok, you will find them. And they're not all in the same part of the country, which is fine. Like I know you can buy marching band shows and they'll see like, where you compete and where you're going because they don't want that to happen. But I think with this show, it kind of backfired in a way that's not positive, especially for those kids that see someone else is doing the exact same show.
Exactly. But like I said, my kids were eating it up. But I mean, it was different. It was different. But
I love the design. I love how cheesy it is. I'm all about it. I just
you said cheese.
We have a lot of puns here. I said eating it up. You said cheesy. The spaghetti shows are.
Can I toss something?
Oodles and noodles of fun.
Sure.
What do I always say to you? Somebody needs help with doing things. This is what I charge.
Oh, cute.
Isn't that silly? Oh my goodness! I've really enjoyed watching the spaghetti show. The rolling over thing, the meatball thing, has been hilarious. Sarah, what are we doing?
I do, and this one is kind of inspired by. We went to the conference today, and I got to talk with several band directors. Asking for color guard choreography. Because they have their the cheer coach, or they have, the assistant band director, or they have, somebody that doesn't know how to do color guard, teaching the color guard, and they're looking for choreographers. However, what are we doing hiring choreographers before we're hiring somebody that can actually teach the kids fundamentals? Yeah.
Max.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It happened a couple times today. They were like, oh, we have this really great choreographer from California. We have this great guy from Wisconsin, Texas. They work with so-and-so. They work with so-and-so. And I was like, that's awesome. Do they share like a basics program so you can get working right now before you get show me? And they're like, oh, no, they just send choreography. And I go, so how do the kids learn the choreography? Oh, they just send a video. It's like, okay.
Yeah. No training, no nothing. Just...
Yeah, and so without those fundamentals, the choreo will never be clean. The choreo, the kids might end up hurting themselves if they don't understand how to do, just think about learning how to throw a 45. How many times we've bumped ourselves in the head doing that. We're just not doing that. So that was pretty interesting to kind of walk into today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Johnny's in the black right now. Oh.
Yes, I totally have one. And maybe it's the snobby designer I became when I did back when WGI had their judging academy that you could go through. What are we doing having props and the band and all of this shiny stuff, and then the color guard is in black pants, a black top, and practice silks? And it's supposed to be the end of the season, and this is supposed to be a full amazing package, but what about the storytellers? How are we really spending our money? And
that
I think it kind of goes
there.
It goes into the choreographer thing too. How are we really thinking about this design as a holistic program, and where's the foundation? It just looks like we picked a show we really, really liked. We just slapped some stuff out there, and we're hoping you don't see all the cracks in the foundation.
Yeah, that part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I and so I got to judge for 6 weekends this year, and every single time it was something like that. They got this really cool rotating prop, or they got this really cool flyover, and we all know that a flyover is going to cost $2,000, which is crazy for fabric. But go off. Make your money. And so you do all that, and then the band can't play their instruments. They can't stand in a right form. The color guard doesn't have matching flags, and it's so we spent $4,000 on all of your aesthetics, but you couldn't give that money to somebody that maybe has some experience in training the students. You didn't spend that time, that money putting the students first. And so when we talk about the student experience, it's not the things that they're standing on, it's the people they're standing with and the growth that they feel. They're going to remember like band camp sucking and them not being able to point their foot, and then doing all the choreography, in like the first week of November, last week of October, whenever the season ends for people. I know in California it's like you guys got like another month.
Yeah.
Sorry about you. But like, man, it really. I get pretty passionate. I'm gonna use the word passionate. It's actually angry. I get pretty angry when I'm judging and I watch like just misappropriation of funds, and it's like, and you're the ones that go to conference. You're the ones that are the most vocal on Facebook about, well, we can't compete with Avon and we can't compete with so and so. They have all the money. It's like, well, Avon pays for the things that they need to pay. Not that I'm not on Avon staff or anything, but I know that staff sets the student experience up first and educates first, knowing that excellence is the greatest effect, and then they go on to the other things. I just feel like so much they're like, GE is such a misunderstood thing. We just have to have all this money and props, and it's like, no, you just have to have excellence in your students, and then you can kind of move on from there. Yeah, that one really grinds my gears.
Well, I think I remember when I was teaching that kids remembered the shows that we didn't spend the most money on, that we literally were like, I don't have a budget. Like, okay, I'm going to have to take a pay cut, but we're going to put on, like, we're going to make them feel good and they're going to have great choreography and look the same. They talked about those shows for years, and people joined the program because of those shows instead of like, oh, you had a whole mechanical dragon on the field. Like, what year was that?
Absolutely. Alicia, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, it makes me think of something my country grandmother would say, but it's lipstick on a pig.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much money you spend or what your props look like or how shiny the uniforms are if you have bad intonation and your feet aren't on the beat.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'll give myself applause for that one.
That was a great What Are We Doing, Johnny? Yeah, absolutely. Well, we maybe need to put that as a podcast like topic as well, as like how to use this money wisely. And I think there's just misunderstandings or, old ways of maybe thinking, or I don't know really what it is. I'd love to get some band directors on that, aren't of the marching band space and they're like hear their perspective, because there's got to be some kind of disconnect, and like marrying these two worlds I think would be so cool to see. Yeah. Austin, do you got a What Are We Doing?
I do. I'm pretty sure this has been said on here before, but I'm going to reiterate it. I haven't said this, but I'm going to say it now. What are we doing not paying on time when we have expectations for deadlines from designers? Yeah. I'm not speaking from personal experience. I'm not. There's only been one time where I have not been paid flat out, and I got ghosted. Happens. It's part of the activity.
Yeah.
It happens to everybody. It's unfortunate.
I will say, one of our drill writer this year, bless her heart, she's amazing, and we went to get her checked.
I know.
Yeah, she's just been patient with us because this is happening with one of my programs right now, where the school cut a check to an old address they had on file for her, and she had moved, and it's been lost in the mail. And then the school policy is they can't write a new one until the other one's been lost for 30 days, and it's just drug on and on and on. And hopefully her check went out today, her brand new one, but it's broken my heart all season. I've been like, I'm so sorry, I swear. And she's been so gracious and so cool about it. But
that's a different scenario. We're trying. It's another part when it's just like, oh, here's the drill, here you go, or here's the choreography, or here's the music, or whatever. And it's just like, hey, where's my money? And then they just don't reply.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing. And I'm just like, and then eventually they reply, oh, I actually have the money now. Oh, and you're like, why did you hire me and you agreed to a contract if you didn't have it to begin with? That's my whole thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We are artists.
I've
had ensemble to small claims court because, I mean, if it's like $1,000, if it's $1,500, it's like the act of getting that, trying to get that in a small claims court, it's going to cost about the same, and to the time it takes. But I was owed $5,000 or $6,000 from this ensemble, and they were trying to hire me back to work in the winter, and I was like, we still haven't even done the down payment for the fall, so I'm not going to do that. And then your name gets blasted as somebody that only cares about the money and all that stuff. So it's like there's like a you got to pick your battles sometimes, but at the end of the day, this is my livelihood. I kind of need that money. And there's been band directors that have been upset about, like, oh, well, this isn't the show we really thought we were going to get. We really wanted this.
Oh, no,
like, well,
no.
I'm like, bro, you had 4 movements to tell me that this isn't what you wanted. You can't tell me after the entire project gone on, you've gone to state that you didn't like it, and now you don't want to pay for half of it. Like, that's $3,000, buddy. Like, something's got to happen here. It's tough. And I mean, the other part of it is like working with financials as a band director. You're not really trained how to do that. You kind of get thrown into that admin work as well. And so you're working with people that aren't in the budget meetings. Honestly, like, band directors go to these band booster meetings. Sometimes I feel like good ones pay attention, but the ones that are going to have these kinds of conversations with you are diddling on a notepad, hanging out in the back, and just there to do the thing. It's tough. It's tough, and I've lost out on thousands and thousands of dollars because you really have to pick your battles, because your name is everything, and unfortunately you can't be this person that's, well, that guy is all about the money. So if you want somebody that costs a lot of money and is going to fight you for it, go ahead and hire him. And it's really easy for a band director to say that. So it's tough. It's sad. I mean, right now I'm out probably like $11,000 still waiting for the fall, and I haven't written drill for 3 weeks. So, it's
wow.
It's interesting, and I'm fully confident that I'll get all that 11,000 at some point. But it's the waiting game. It's the band directors have so many other things that they're focusing on. The marching band season's passed for them. That's old news, and it's like, I got it to you on time. At the beginning of my career, oh my God, I sucked. I would send things like a week late. I would not get people things at all. Like, I was terrible. I will admit that. But, post-COVID, I'm on time. I deliver a great product, and I feel like I should be compensated for that. It just doesn't happen sometimes. And that's something for
advocacy.
Yeah. The freelance game is hard, and you do have to pick your battles. So if you're new to this, like, be ready to lose out on some money. It happens. It sucks. But having a plan and not counting on those things arriving on time and having a plan for that is pretty important. You ready for some Gush and Goes? That was tough. That was a crazy intense conversation. I appreciate you. Let's lighten it up with maybe some Gush and Goes.
Great job, everyone. Set your equipment down. Gush and go.
That one's short and sweet. My Gush and Go, super excited. I'm going to change the vibes here. Super excited about this week. I'm going to go to Indianapolis. I drive up on Wednesday, stay in an Airbnb, come hang out, come vibe out if you're around the space. I know this comes out on Friday, so Friday night, Saturday night, when your group gets preliminated or you go on, whatever happens, let's go get super hyped about what you did this season. That's crazy. I said that. Let's get super hyped about all the great things that you've done this season and talk about next season and talk about what you're doing in the fall. I'll be in Indy. I'm doing PASIC. I'm doing Grand Nats. I am going to the art museum. I'm taking a nap. Come hang out, come nap, come do the things. I'm excited about this week. It's finally done. Marching band's done. Winter's already started. That sucks. Sarah? You got a Gush and Go?
I do, yeah. So, like you said, winter is upon us. So, winter guard auditions are just around the corner. So, I'm actually lucky enough to work with 5 winter guards this winter. And so, it's going to be a good old time. Yeah.
Yeah. We're super hyped. Sarah's in year 3 of doing this full time, and it's going well. We're proud of Sarah. Alicia, do you got a Gush and Go?
Yeah, so you guys know, by the time this episode comes out, it will be past, but today is actually Veterans Day, and my Gush is the awesome performances I saw in our local Veterans Day parade today. A lot of color guards and bands that sounded great and looked great and showed out. It was a huge parade for our community, and I was really excited to see some really awesome stuff happening.
Heck yeah. Love it. Love me some Veterans Day. It's the day we celebrate our veterans. Trish, you got something to gush and go about?
Yeah, so piggyback off of you guys, marching band is over, and it was a tough season for in Northern Valley. We being in 4 open was a little bit of a struggle, but we finished 13th out of 14, which was, okay. We were 3 open state champions last year, so being in that bigger class, one of the smallest bands in the bigger class, but the color guard was 6th, so I was really super happy about that. And Winter is starting in Northern Valley already. We've already had rehearsals for the Northern Valley by high school team, the Northern Valley Combined Schools Winter Guard, and Envy Winter Guard. We just had practice yesterday. So things are happening up in Northern Valley in North Jersey.
Ooh. Heck yeah, the wheel just keeps turning. We don't get a break. That's awesome. Emily, you got a gush and go for us?
I do. Yay, speaky time. So my recent gush and go is that, how do I phrase this? So in Seattle, there's a very popular museum called the Mopop. So basically think all of your nerdy things that you really like. And they recently did like a collaboration with my university's marching band. And I think it's really fun when the communities and the marching bands do stuff together because they get free advertising essentially. And then marching band gets free airtime and people's like, whoa, 2 cool things at once. So yes, more community involvement from marching bands.
Heck yeah, I love that. That's dope. What university is that?
I'm from University of Washington.
Like Washington State?
Oh, Huskies.
Yes, thank you. They're the football team is they're fine. It's fine. It's whatever.
They were better last year.
Oh, I mean, when you compare it to a national championship run, everything looks bad by comparison. Okay.
That's true.
Dogs.
Ew,
Austin.
no.
Wait, Huskies not dogs?
I mean, they are. The different dogs are Georgia. It's a whole thing. Joey, we'll talk after this.
I only watch the Dodgers.
We'll talk after this, Joey.
Austin, give me a gush and go and quit embarrassing me.
No, I will never do that. I enjoy it. But so my gush and go, I got a text like right before we started recording this segment. One of my kind of like student proteges, like one of my favorite students that I kind of had throughout high school. I just found out he made Blue Devils.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
Very excited.
Awesome.
Very excited for him.
On what instrument? Or
I'm not gonna dox him, so I'm not gonna say the instrument, but he has brass. He has high brass. I will say that much.
A brass player in the color guard? That's crazy.
Crazy, right? Yeah.
Oh my
yeah, he's
God.
awesome. He's awesome.
John, any thoughts on that?
He's aging out this summer, and I could not be more happy for him. And he's probably one of my favorite people that I've ever taught. And I'm just happy that he got his contract. And
you know, a lot of your students did ask me if you had favorites, and I told them you would never. So this is interesting.
Yeah. You know. See, I started. He was one of my first like Florida students, and I drug his butt to drum corps, and he kind of grew in drum corps, and it was great. And so now he's here, and yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, like Sarah and I were talking about, like, we do this thing where we write down great things that happen every year on these strips of paper and then throw them in this glass jar. And at the end of every season, we pull them out and read them together and be like, wow, we did a lot of cool things. It's super full right now. Not gloating, just talking. But one of the things that we pulled out last winter going into the summer was one of our students going off and doing BD, funny enough. And, we talked about like why we do this, like why we keep doing marching band. And it's fitting that this is a first time podcast, talking about our first times and what keeps bringing us back. We've found that like we had those instructors and those directors that really made our experience so positive and warm that we just wanted to create opportunities like that for other students and experiences like that. And so, I have my own little story about BD 2014 and how that didn't end up working out, unfortunately. And so anytime I get a kid to go and do BD or any of those top 6 cores that I just didn't make the time to make happen, I get really, really excited. And I tell all my students, I'm like, my goal is that you surpass me, like, immediately. Like, you're a better designer, better instructor, better person, better pizza, like a Papa John's thing, And so just it's a great feeling. So congratulations! Like it's such a warm like woohoo! Like you get to live vicariously through them. That's awesome.
Also, I'm
Johnny,
gonna sneak in one more real quick.
go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
Officially, On a Water Break from Costa Rica 2 Electric Boogaloo is a go. So just a heads up on that one.
Yay! I love a good sequel.
I'm excited.
Johnny, you got a gush and go for us?
My first thing is to say Blue Smoke. Awesome for your student. Love that. I love another member being added to the Blue Devil family. Yeah, mine's a little bit of a self plug because I stopped teaching in 2021 to take on this new career of being a flight attendant. And so I want to get back into it in the Nashville area. So if anybody's listening and wants a West Coast approach on things, yeah, hit me up. I'm super. Even during this conversation, I'm more inspired. Of course, I
That's good.
spin at home by myself, and I dance in my kitchen, and I
Oh.
perform this whole thing. Yeah, I lift up my dogs, and she's my partner, or he's my partner. You know, I have my I have my moments. I don't think it can ever leave any of us, but
it doesn't.
Yeah, I really want to get back into it.
Who do you fly for?
Yeah.
Ooh, say that again.
Who do you fly for?
I fly for Delta.
Very nice. Ooh, one of my friends just got there. She's loving it so far.
Oh, I'm all about it. It's
We're gonna
incredible.
need video of this dog dance stuff. I just want to put that out there. We're gonna
I'll
need
find it.
dance. Well, I used to be able to when Charcoal was 2 months old. We were able to dance with her. Now that she's a 100-pound pit bull, ain't no way I'm lifting that thing up. And she wiggles and so super cute, like super jealous. We're thinking about getting a small dog just while it's small, and then when it gets big, we'll do what we need to do with it.
Oh, Joey. Johnny's dogs are not small.
They are not. Their nickname is Team Chunk. Love them so much.
He's strong.
Yeah, they have their own personalities and backstories. Like my girl dog's favorite song to dance to with me is WAP. She just
wins and protection, right? That's what you mean by that.
Exactly. Yes. Right. Exactly. So I'll find the videos somewhere.
I love it. That's awesome. Yeah, no. If anybody's in the Nashville area or the surrounding place, hit up Johnny. He'll get you that West Coast stuff in the Appalachians.
Yeah, yes.
Or Appalachians. I say it wrong every time.
It's called Gush and Go, not Gush and Stay. Let's go.
I always feel like that sound is really rude, but we're gonna keep going. Thanks for a great rehearsal this week. Thanks to our hosts. Pause. I'm so sorry. First time, I did mean to ask this at the beginning. As the host, is that Alicia, Austin, Trish, and Emily? Is that right?
Yeah.
Did I get it wrong? Oh, okay. Rewind. We can leave this in. It's fine. I'm a goof.
I did the same exact thing.
Yeah. Thanks for a great weekend. I just said that. Thanks to our host, Alicia, Austin, Emily, and Trish. Really appreciate y'all being on here for my first hosting gig. We are excited about new things planned when we launch season 3, which will be happening soon. So check into that. Thank you to our guest clinicians, Johnny. Where can people find you? Where can people hit you up for some choreo?
They can find me on Facebook. Johnny Guzman is my last name, and then on Instagram it's Johnny, but it's JHNNY G09.
G09. Awesome. Sarah, where can the people find you?
I'm also on Facebook under Sarah Shields or on the Marching by Montez website.
Woo! That's my last name. One more thing. Don't forget we have our YouTube channel now where you can see our lovely faces and our reactions to all the things we talk about. Go and subscribe so you don't miss out on the visuals that are not to be missed. I'm beautiful. I work on it every day. Come watch the podcast. So before you close out on your podcast listening app, I'm a looker, not a talker. Go subscribe, write us a review, and share this with a friend. Follow us on social media at On a Water Break, and we'll see you at the next rehearsal. On a Water Break.
The On a Water Break podcast was produced by Jeremy Williams and Christine Ream. The intro and outro music was produced by Josh Lyda. To learn more, visit lydamusic.com. And until next time, thanks for tuning in.